Content warning. The following contains images of political violence. Hi, I'm Tristan, and this is Thinking About Politics. So today I'm thinking about some tragic events that are unfolding in the country of Myanmar, formerly known as Burma in the West. Since its independence after World War II, it has been ruled by a series of military juntas, and military leadership. In 1988, there was a democratic uprising that was crushed, but the long-time, leader of the opposition, Aung San Suu Kyi, finally came to power in 2015 when Myanmar began to liberalize and started to have elections. In 2020, there was another election, which should sound familiar to anybody familiar with the 2020 election in the United States. After the election, the military party, which lost badly to Aung San Suu Kyi, ended up launching a coup. They argued that there were voting irregularities. They said that there were duplicate names appearing on the rolls. It sounds a lot like, the claim that there were dead people voting. However, just like in America, the people contesting the vote have made no claims that whatever irregularities they've found were substantial and could have overturned the election. And there is strong reason to suspect that these are baseless claims of a sore loser. And what has resulted?
Since the Myanmar military overthrew the government and staged a coup 8 weeks ago, activists say security forces have killed more than 800 people.
Thanks to brave local journalists and activists, the world has witnessed the horror of the crackdown in Myanmar. Much of it is so violent we can't show it to you without blurring the video. Activists shot, their bodies taken away. Soldiers beating demonstrators. Security forces killing demonstrators and then dragging their bodies to the street. And now the Human Rights Center Investigative Lab at Berkeley and the AP found the Myanmar military used dead bodies, corpses, who were killed indiscriminately as a tool of war to try to control an entire population. You also highlighted this video from the report, a demonstrator's dead body being loaded onto a military truck. I want to highlight a particular video from your investigation. Security forces in a pickup truck stop as a white motorbike drives by. A member of the security forces fires from just a few feet away. 2 men escape, but one has been shot through the neck. We now know that man was Kya Min Lat. He was only 17, and his family says he was not a demonstrator. And when the military hospital released him, it claimed the cause of death was, quote, fall from motorcycle.
It's all fun and games until people start dying. We have no idea in this country how far down the rabbit hole of barbarism can go. Once we stop dealing with each other civilly, once we stop trusting our processes, the processes we've already put in place, once we stop trusting each other, once we start thinking that the other side would go ahead and steal an election like this, once we start believing in baseless conspiracies, it is hard to imagine just how far down that rabbit hole really could go. And you're seeing it in Myanmar. You are seeing what happens when you have a political system that does not allow for the transfer of power. You are seeing a political system in which, when one side with guns complains loud enough, they are able to overturn the will of the people. And in a country like ours, where sovereignty comes from the people, what does that mean? Would we even be the same country anymore? What's happening in Myanmar is tragic. And it's also a good time to pause and recognize the good work done by good journalists.
In the wake of the February 1 military coup in Myanmar, we partnered up with the Associated Press to try to get a sense of what was happening on the ground. We were beginning to hear a number of stories from sources from social media that there was widespread violence. We all know about the protests that were taking place. So one of the things that we began doing here at the Human Rights Center Investigations Lab is combing social media for videos, for photographs that could help tell that story. We began scraping that information. We ended up with about 2,000 to 3,000 tweets and combing through those tweets to get a sense of any patterns of behavior that we might see. We were seeing civilians, or what looked to be civilians, being shot by what appeared to be military in broad daylight, often dragged into the backs of trucks.
And finally, the Myanmar military has cracked down before, of course, 1988, 2007, and killed thousands. The difference this time, of course, is that we have video.
This is an example of the value media provides. If it weren't for our media researching this stuff, verifying reports, getting this video and getting reliable facts, we would know nothing about this. It is so important we open our eyes and we know how to watch the news, that we don't fall victim to thugs, bullies, monsters who have no interest in democracy, who have no interest in you, who have no interest in me. They only have interest in their own power. My heart goes out to those folks in Myanmar and all folks around the world who are fighting so hard to get what we're fighting to keep. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Until next time, keep thinking.
I ain't got time to kiss you now. I'm busy